Alright, so you clicked on this video, I believe, to learn Waterman. So today I'm only going to be going over the beginner Waterman, which, even though you're not counting CLL, even with just 2-look CLL and like 8 other algorithms for last 5 edges, and I won't even count permuting the midges as algorithms, the method still averages around 60 for move count. Even if you're doing 3/4 crossing corners, which is a lot less efficient than block building, you're still averaging around 60 moves. What I consider full Waterman has around 40 move count, and there's a lot of Algs. So I'm going to be teaching you Waterman in this video. Blob90Cuber has his own Waterman tutorial, but it's not a beginner tutorial, and this is going to be a beginner tutorial. This video will be the first beginner tutorial on YouTube. Yeah, that came out wrong. So anyways, the first step is to make a Waterman layer. So before doing anything, I'm going to show you what it's supposed to look like. Or actually, let me get rid of those corners real quick. It's going to look something like this. Center's kind of misaligned. They don't have to be like aligned exactly. But it's a layer minus an edge, and that's called a Waterman layer. So it's a layer, not a side, so these colors have to be matching too. And it doesn't matter what edge you're going to leave out, but in this case, we're probably going to leave out the green and white edge. But it can be your choice. Oh, I almost dropped there. And that's basically it. Now, one thing you can do, if you're coming from CFOP instead of RU, then what you can do is kind of like a 3/4 cross technique here, and solve the corners. Now, here's something funny. Now, in CFOP, you get this corner right here. What you would do, you would either do triple sexy or this alg to solve this into here. But what you should do, now a good technique is just doing an R and that misorients this, and then insert like normal, or insert it with a U2, which is 4 moves. But I feel like the best way to do it is this alg that solves this into here in 3 moves from this position. M, F2, M prime. That solves this. And let's see here. You already have this edge, or actually, you already have the edge that goes beside it solved. Then what you can do, depending on whether this is a part of the misalignment or not, you can do R and then insert it. But if everything is solved like this is your last pair, then you just have to do it CFOP style with that RU2, yeah, whatever I just showed you earlier. So that's the Waterman layer. Once again, you do not have to have the centers aligned. If you do, if you want to, you can, but you don't have to. So there's that. So the second step is CLL. So even with 2-look CLL here, which averages like 19-20 moves-ish, the method still averages around 60 moves. So I'm going to be showing you all the algs for 2-look, even though you don't have to watch it with 2-look, as you probably know full 1-look CLL or COLL or random OLL CP algs to solve this in 1 look. So basically the first case you have, I'm going to be showing you the Sune cases first. Now, this is only for OLL, so of course, you already know the Sune alg, but how to recognize this, I don't even know why I'm showing you this. You have 1 corner on top, put that in the front here, you got to see which corner is facing you. So this corner is facing me on the right, so I do the alg from this, and the alg is RU, R prime U, RU2, R prime. Now, once again, I have absolutely no idea why I'm showing you this. You already know the Sune alg, but the second alg has the corner on the left side this time. So, you'll take the alg from this angle, and you want to do the reverse of the Sune alg, which is Anti-Sune. RU2, R prime, U prime, RU prime, R prime. Again, most of y'all probably already know these algs. Now you know the thing, like how to recognize it. And of course, y'all probably already know that too. So, I mean, that's an OLL alg for crying out loud. So, let's see here. So the next alg is is an alg not used for the last layer because it doesn't preserve the first 2 layers, but it does preserve the Waterman layer, no matter where you put it from. It is the H case. So the H case has no edges on top, but you see there are headlights of yellow corners, or whatever your last layer corners are, and then there's also headlights in the other side. I don't really care if it's left or right or anything, to be honest, but you want to hold the cube to do the algorithm from the front and back. What you want to do is R2, U2, R prime, U2, R2, and that's, to me, you can do R2, U2, or U2, R2, but I like R2. I like the R prime version because I'm a little bit faster with the R prime version rather than the R version. The next case is this case right here. It's called pie case. We have, again, headlights for the corners, but instead we have these other two corners pointing kind of outwards from each other. There's no headlights. This case, we want to hold the things with the headlights on the left. We want to do this alg. R, U2, R2 prime, U prime, R2, U prime, R2 prime, U2, R. And it's a little bit faster. Like that. And those are 4 cases. Now, there's only 7 cases. I forgot to mention that, but we're almost done. The next alg is this case right here, which is just the F sexy F prime case. So you got 2 adjacent corners here or anywhere on the cube. And we got headlights. You want to do F sexy F prime, and that's the entire alg. F R U R prime U prime F prime. So yeah, there's that alg. So the next case is called T, or the last case was called U, by the way. But this case is called T. What you see, we have these little top adjacent corners up, but instead of headlights, again, we got 2 more corners pointing outwards. In this case, again, like the last one, we want to hold the oriented edges on the right. We want to do sexy sledge, which is R U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R, F prime. And there's that. And the last case I'm going to show you is the reverse of the last case. How to recognize this, we got 2 diagonal corners, and that's about it. We want to make sure we do the alg to where we see 2 corners like this, like so, facing you from the front and right. So 2 corners like this. And we want to do a reverse of the last alg, which is reverse sledge or hedge. And reverse sexy, which is F, R prime, F prime, R U prime, R prime. So there's those 7 algs, and there's that. So the next step in the, I guess, substep for CLL, if you don't know 2-look, which you probably should know 2-look as you're learning Waterman, unless you never solved a cube before. In that case, you should probably learn how to solve one first. We have the permutation of the last corners, or I guess CPLL, I don't know what it's called. So the first case here is if we have headlights here, and there's only 2 cases, by the way. This case, you want to hold the headlights in the back, and we want to do basically the AA perm, which is Bardell prime, U, R prime, D2, R, U prime, R prime, D2, R2. I guess an X prime rotation, pretty much. And there's that alg. The next alg is pretty long, 17 moves. And it is, if you see no headlights from the cube. In this case, you want to hold it from any angle and do F, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R, F prime. So this is kind of a cancellation or kind of a combination of 2 algs. But the last alg is sexy sledge. So, I mean, it's a pretty good alg. I mean, it's not the best, obviously, because it has like 17 moves once again, and it's also a blind alg for like for old Pachman when this here switches with this sticker. So I don't know why I mentioned that, but I mentioned it anyway. So that's CLL. So you got your corner solved. You don't have to worry about AUF or centers, so I'm just gonna leave it like this. And now what you want to do, you want to rotate the cube kind of where the corners CLL layer is now on the right, and on the left it looks kind of like a roux block plus the 2 corners. So now the UL edge is the missing edge of the first layer. And now what you want to do is solve all the edges on this layer right here. Now the beginner version does this one at a time, and if it still averages 60 moves, it's a good beginner method. It's not for it's kind of for people that already know how to solve the cube. So I'm going to assume that. So the first thing right here, we have this right here. This is the blue and yellow edge. We want to make sure yellow's on the bottom here. And then, of course, the other color is blue. So we want to get the blue corners on top. And insert like so. Very intuitive. And the next part right here, we see another yellow. Put that disoriented on the bottom. And the other color is orange. Orange color's right here. And we want to insert, but this doesn't work. Since this is in the back, we want to do the reverse of what we did, or almost the reverse, or whatever. Just insert it with U prime MU this time. Now, of course, we got this next one right here. Now, here's something, though. This is kind of a weird part. I'm going to show you some special cases where it's already on the left and right edge, right layer. What you want to do, all you want to do is just take it out and put it back in. Which is going to do a few more extra moves than you want. But you just want to take it out and put it back into its normal spot. So that it's that easy. So, there's that. So, the next step here is solve. You don't have to align the layers, but I'm going to align the layers anyways. Solve basically the last ledge over here while orienting all the edges. Like so. So, let's see here. I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. Okay. Okay, so there are 8 cases. Because the 8 cases, you want to try to put this down here. So, basically what this the edge, you want to put it disoriented down the DF slot. Now, the centers are going to be misaligned, but that's not going to be a problem, as you can just act like those are the supposed UD centers. First of all, this right layer is completely disregarded as of right now, so you could just get rid of that pretty much. And you only got to pay attention to these 3 edges. Yep, not even the corners you have to pay attention to. You only got to pay attention to the 3 edges relative to the center. So, let's see here. There are 8 cases. Of course, there are going to be setup moves. So, if you get an edge back down here, what you want to do a D2 setup move and put it right here. And now it's in DF and you can perform the alg. Let's see something. If you get a case where the edge is oriented, act like it's disoriented. Once again, you have to disregard the entire right layer and these corners. And now we pretend this is the U corners, so, or the U center. And we see that this is disoriented because it's not the same color as this center, nor is it the opposite. So these 2 are disoriented. So I just do the alg for that and it's good. Now, the algorithm I'm going to show you, let's see here. I'm going to be showing you all the algs from this angle, and I'm going to be showing you all the possible angles you can get it from. Except for the fact that I'm not going to show you any of the right layer being disregarded, because that's like 4 times more cases. So just disregard that entire right layer and these corners, and you got to check what the centers are, or what the edges here are relative to the center. So the first case here is if we have all 3 of these edges are disoriented. The algorithm is U prime, M prime, U prime, M prime, U prime, MU2, MU, and that orients all the centers while solving this. Let's see. How you can get this from, is, if you get it from the back down position, just do a D2, and then the alg, let's see. If you get a case where the centers are misaligned, actually, hold on. If you get the case where all the centers are misaligned, all you got to do is check out how the edges are relative to their center. See all 3 of these edges? This is that same case, because all 3 of these edges are not the same color as the center, or the opposite. So I just do the algorithm that orients everything. If you want proof everything is oriented, just do an M prime or an M or something like that, and then permute the midges. So that's the first case. So the second case I'm going to show you, let's see here. Let's see, what am I doing here? Okay, let's flip these edges here. Alright, this is gonna take a long time, won't it? Alright, so the next case is if all of these edges are oriented and you see no disoriented edges on the bottom. Or on the top, actually. You don't pay attention to this edge at all. But the algorithm for this edge is also an 8-mover. M prime U, M prime U prime, M U prime, M prime U. And that orients all the edges. So, that's the second case. You can also get it to where the corners are... Well, actually, the right layer is misaligned. You don't really care about the right layer in this case. And, of course, the entire centers might be misaligned. Like I said, you got to check if the edges are the same color as it or opposite from it. So, I guess there's that. So, the next case here... let's see here. Alright, the next case here is the worst in case, and it has the least move count, is if these two opposite edges are disoriented. And this is an 11 mover, and the average move count for the entire set of Vega Algs is like 8 or something. But it's this is an 11 move Alg. So it's U prime, M prime, U prime, M, U prime, M, U, M prime, U, M, U. And it solves the ledge while orienting those last edges. It's not as bad as you'd think, although it is still the worst case. The next case here is a pretty easy case to learn. It doesn't have a single M2 or U2 in it. So, I mean, neither does that other alg, but these two are now disoriented here. Now, again, you can get the case from centers being misaligned and edges and corners and right layer misaligned. Just only pay attention to the edges in that one center. So this time we have these two edges disoriented because they're not the same color as this, nor the opposite. Of course, DFL set. Of course, do a D2 as you get it with this alg. This piece is right here. Just do a D2 for setup moves and then the alg. So again, these two are now disoriented. Do a U prime M U M prime U prime M prime U, and then that is the alg. So now the next alg here actually. Let's see here. What can I do? I want to see how to flip this edge or... Alright, the next case, it's the algorithm and the recognition is very similar to the last case. This time we have these two edges disoriented. So the algorithm for this, I'm pretty sure it's just one move different from the last alg. U prime, M prime, U prime, M prime, U, M prime, or U. I said that wrong. The second M prime is supposed to be an M, but, no, the first thing, hold on, whatever. It's in the description. You just learn it yourself. I said it wrong, guarantee. But, you also saw the movement, so, of the, layers, so, this is gonna be good. So, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases. Now we're moving on to the cases where one edge on the top is disoriented. And one of these is also an L5EO alg and an EOLR alg. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. This is taking a long time. Alright, what if I... Okay, let's see here. Okay, got it. It's now good. Alright, so the next case here is if we have this left ledge right here being the only one disoriented on the top. Now, this can actually be used as a rube type of algorithm. So, probably the most intuitive of them all. Again, this is a DFL set. It's also the shortest alg of them all at 6 moves. So, it's M, U, M prime, U2, M prime, U. And that's the whole alg. 6 moves. Very easy to learn. Now, the next case here... Let's see here. The next case we're moving on to is if this edge is disoriented, which is the UB edge. In this case, again, DFL set, you want to do M prime, U prime, M, U prime, M prime, U prime, M, U prime. And that's basically it. So, now this is gonna, the last one's gonna be pretty hard to, pretty hard to set up. So, let's see this. What if I do this? Okay, there we go, that works. So now, the last case for the last 5 edges I'm showing you is if this UF edge is disoriented. But this time, the alg is U2, M prime U, M U, M prime U, M U prime. So, that alg is pretty easy, and all you have left is to permute the midges. Now, this is basically just Ru 4C. So, it's pretty easy. I'm not going to show you anything, but there are 3 cases. Flowers, which is my least favorite case. So, we got these right here. That you solve them like E2, M prime E2. And then we got blocks. You can get 2 variants of this, but you want to make sure basically do U2, M U2, or if you get the other variant, U2, M prime U2. You'll find out yourself once you get your 3x3 what that is. Finally, we have rows, which is, you can get columns too, but you can just do something like the rows alg to solve it. So, it's basically you get 3 kind of rows. One goes through the middle, and we got 1 on the top and in the bottom. You want to do U2, M2, U2. I don't really count those as algs, so let's see, 9 plus 8. 17 algorithms for a 60 move count method. Now that's actually pretty good. For Waterman, what I consider full Waterman average is like 40 moves, maybe less. So it's around pretty same as heist. Problem is that's a lot of algorithms, so, and I'm counting full EOLR too, which pretty much doesn't exist in like original 1980s Waterman, but yeah, that's I have all the algorithms in the description. That's the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.